Big cock, small cock, fighting on the block. Tall cock, a cock named Billy was putting licks on everybody. Trust me, you're talking about cock. Tame cock, fighting on the block. Lame cock, all he dread. Billy shell licks and he falls down dead. Big cock, small cock, fighting on the block. Red cock, small cock, fighting. How it go now? Cock, red cock. Every cock had a special trainer with big sharper than a razor and a long spur to take out your gulls. But a woman named Harrietta, when she see cock, she start to stutter. She said, let them fight, don't stop them at all. Well, if you see cock, hard cock, fighting on the block. Bad cock, a cock named Benwood, size them up and feed them good, real good. You're talking about cock, spice cock, fighting on the block. Nice cock, you might shake your head. Benwood shepherds and he fall down dead. Cock, real cock. How it go now? Cock, real cock. Every cock I saw was a winner. Cock for tea, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Every cock I saw had me hypnotized. Anytime I'm feeling for pleasure, I am going back to Valencia. You know why? Cock-a-doodle-doo is my paradise. Well, if you see cock, long cock, fighting on the block. Strong cock, a cock named to wine, was belting those in front and behind. That's fine, you're talking about cock, feel cock, cock putting down walk. Real cock, cock to make you sweat. This cock you want, this cock you go get. I love you, thank you. Cock, red cock. Sexy Susie went to Valencia to visit the cock fighting arena. My hobby is cock fighting and fighting cock. When I got there, to my amazement, it was cock fighting entertainment. And to tell you the truth, I was in a shock. Well, if you see cock, young cock, fighting on the block. Strong cock, a cock named Dicky, was sharing blows on everybody. Believe me, you're talking about cock, tough cock, solid as a rock. Rough cock, now don't be misled. Dicky share blows and he falls down dead. Cock, real cock. Well, you can sing it now. Please hear me audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Cock,
only girl child, she making gimme. And as a man I really used to feel shame. I have a son to carry me name. I rejoice when she say the ultrasound thing. A bouncing baby boy is on the way. I decide I want me boy to be strong. And hear how I treating me boy from young. High protein soya milk I buy about 10 pounds. Why?
To strengthen me boy.
I had 2 cases of mixed cereals on me back.
To strengthen me boy.
7 C cut liver oil with malt and tonic.
To strengthen me boy.
Ovaltine, Milo, Clim, Lasco, free, go quick.
To strengthen me boy.
With me one and only I am making fun. His health and care I'm trusting to no one. I even buy a rubber cap for me boy head. I don't want me boy catch no fresh cool and dead. Yes, the greatest love of all is happening to me. Learning to love me boy is the greatest love of all. Wifey say you behavioral pattern street, playing with your boy whole night and whole day. Boy child obsession, higher jiggery on your boy. You're spending all your money. I say my boy's importance you don't understand. If my boy does make me feel like a man, if my boy dead now, oh God I will grieve. You and all might pack up your grip and leave. Arrowroot, linseed, coconut water. Boil up goat milk with bay leaf and cornmeal. Why?
To strengthen me boy.
I put some dal and a fling in some cow.
To strengthen me boy.
We were in an accident just recently. I get lash all part of me body. And still I didn't study myself that night. I only feeling to make sure me boy alright. The greatest love of all is happening to me. Learning to love me boy is the greatest love of all. Yes, yes. They like that. You know, Take it, my boy always up in the night, and to wifey that is problem left and right. I tell she don't fret, to do use your tack. Either party head, girl or rubby back. But she say how she auntie tell she to get me boy to sleep, put brandy in the tea. She try the brandy thing in no time, she stop. More brandy get, more me boy wake up. Punch the breakfast and lunch with beetroot water.
To strengthen me boy.
And a rough punch and milk soaked in raw chana.
To strengthen
fish broth with young feet for iron. Roast soup with fresh ground provision. Me boy must never be wiki, always ready to stand if necessary. Never like the gun which fails to go off. Nobody go ever say my boy soft. I'm not understanding, boy. My boy, the whole world I want to know. He must have fame and condition like Gato, or be a very good businessman, or like Dwight Young, a successful soccer man. I want my boy sing like a sparrow, march the road like a kitchen a roll. So, and when my boy vex, the whole world could know. He does swell up the face, big like the first room. Orange and egg mix up with sea moss. Guinness and milk with ice in glass of course. Shark fin broth a 6-pack Royal Extra. Russianese spinach and hook straight from China. We had to keep me boy in fine style. Women always want to hug up and kiss me child. That is why I don't cream him regularly, so they can tell me that my boy smelling a pee. The greatest love is happening to me.
For Puppet Master.
This is where, on the heels of Puppet Master and Sprang Along, this is where I jump in and say top of the evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk Calypso, Part 4, the 4th edition. We keeping it, well, you know, I see the crowd still small, but welcome, Marsha, the Tavi inside. I see Victoria here. Natalie here.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, darling. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. I don't know what it is, but slowly, one of these days, I might open this window, and I wouldn't be surprised if I see 100 people waiting to get inside. But we starting if it's with 5, we starting with 5 or 4 people, as the case might be. This evening, the topic is sex and sexual orientation, and how the Calypsonian chose to approach the topic. Now, the thing is, sex, as with all things in society, is a topic that needs addressing, and as all Calypsonians, and Calypso has always been that art form to discuss matters that going on around us, the evolution, the progression. As we're talking about sexual orientation, when you listen to some of the Calypsos, there are things that used to be said that cannot be said anymore. There are terminologies that used to be used that should they be used in a modern day, in a Trinidad 2020 society, will be offensive. And of course, this discussion coming on heels of a previous episode of Let's Talk Calypso, where reference was made to that song that Krokro had going on, a little viral video recently with him referring to breastfed. And in a little bit or sometime a little later, I will find back the video and we will reference it and reference what he's saying. But tonight is a night I feel that we will be listening a little more music. We will be listening a little more Calypso. We opened with Sexy Susie doing one entitled Cockfight. And then we had Puppet Master doing The Greatest Love. And that was another thing too. And I mean, off the bat, if we should see, the Calypsonians play with, of course, that element of double entendre, where they're telling you one thing, but the implied meaning is something else. There are many songs and many Calypso, and there are some people who view Calypso as being this smutty, dirty entity that's saying things that you don't say in any place, and how the Calypsonian could say that. There are some people who look forward to the little they greet the little smut with a smile on the face. They greet the little smut. Now, one of the notable songs, once you're talking about sex in Calypso, would be one entitled The Art of Lovemaking. And we're going back to 1973. The interesting thing, this song by the late Garfield Blackman, then Lord Shorty decided to give advice, the advice in song. And Shorty, at the end of it, or by the time the carnival ended in 1973, Shorty was charged for indecent exposure kind of thing. All right. Marisha, good evening and welcome. Thanks for coming. So let's take in a little bit of Shorty as
good evening. Thank you, Marcus.
As he gives his advice in song.
La, la, la. Lovemaking is an art. Few of us master. Some men can't even start to kindle their woman's fire. Continuously, they leaving the poor woman on the shelf, and always in a hurry, only satisfying themselves. Now when she walk out and go, they can't understand that she left for lack of complete satisfaction. But your woman could never leave you as long as she lived. If you play it smart and practice the art from these expert advice I give. Listen, if you want to be your woman here, which you got to be. First, dim the lights, then squeeze her tight. Whisper in her ear, stick your finger in her hair. Suck she lip, massage she hip. Then you move your pubic section in a slow circular motion. As she I get sleepy, Papa, it's time to scoochie woochie. Women act differently, I know, according to their race. You'll find some women noisy anytime, any place. And then some are so reserved in all their doings. Although vibrantly being served, they cover their eyes and wouldn't say a thing. The Spanish and Chinese will scratch you like they have claws. The Indians, the whites, the Portuguese, mister, all is yours. But with a Negro or a Douglas, you're in for a fight. And I can tell you, brother, they pull up bigger, Lord,
They have appetite.
Well, listen, if you want to make your woman feel the way she love to feel, take a nibble in your mouth, that does tickle all about. Listen to her breathing, and if you're gasping like she's strangling, don't stop, continue. Tell her what you're going to do. Talk to she and make the answer. That, my friend, builds the fire. You must groan and grind your teeth. And the way she's sour till she's sweet. It is a risk, I agree, pushing your tongue in some woman hair, because sometimes it's so waxy, them and all catching the tail to hear. So a man must have stamina and a strong constitution, because being a lover, believe me, takes a lot of man. Imagine you kiss your girl and get a piece of bake, she had quite a while. The expert lover will swallow that with a smile. And if she raise her hand and she arms smell like stale potato, you must ask me, darling, chokans, spunkans, how you could smell like so. Listen, if you want to make your woman feel the way she love to feel, you got to take your time. Let she do all the grind. And if she tell you wait, oh gosh, wait, don't stop, you're doing great. Keep on the move. Stay in the groove. Now don't forget this nice middle finger, this hot magnificent finger. Always keep it handy in case of emergency.
Right, and that was the line that got him charged in decency back in 1973. And of course the actions to go with it, coupled of course with the fact that Shorty then was saying something that a lot of the society wasn't talking. And it is one of the landmark calypsos that seem to have openly have this discussion to openly embrace and talk about sex. I mean, this is in some instances even like a manual of how to perform, and that's what Shorty did in song. He gave people a manual, a know-how, how to do, what to look for, who to, he tells how the Spanish would behave, this one would behave. Of course, I guess he would have done his research or take the on the ground opinion, right? And let me just take a moment here to welcome the new folks who inside the Zoom. Welcome and thanks for coming. And those who might be listening on YouTube, of course, you could also put your comments in YouTube, and I will be able to, that if you have any comments or contribution, I will be able to access and see. Of course, here too in Zoom, you can put your comments, or you too could join in. This is not a lecture. This is not something that I alone just going to be talking and, you know, just saying you jump in and add to the thing. Mervyn, good evening. Blessings, Jeffrey.
Hi, Marcus. This is Dr. Whitty.
Hey, what going on?
All right.
Nice, man. Long time. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
Long time, boy, long time.
Nice, man.
Uh-huh.
Well, I know I just see you active on that side, so I know you're all right.
Yeah, man. I can try to keep it alive over here.
Nice. That's good. Well, we're talking a little Calypso.
Nice. I like that.
We're talking a little Calypso.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So again, we jumping back and we inside in terms of sex. The last song we played, Shorty, The Art of Love Making, and I wasn't there in 73. I wish I could have actually see Shorty perform this. I really wish. But the most I could do is give accounts and speak about people reflecting and people talking about what went on in 73 and his actions. But again, yes, it was taboo. It was indeed taboo, and society was hardly really talking and still, if somebody should jump on a soapbox and decide to talk about sex, I think society still watch you with a level of questionable eyes. Like, oh, what is person doing, or what is person saying? Who give him the right to? Or he shouldn't say that. And we live in that society, and of course it is reflected through our calypsos. One of the dominant traits that I see, and we saw it with Puppet Master. Puppet Master gave us the Calypso, The Greatest Love. And in that Greatest Love, that element of wanting to strengthen the boy, that masculine, what's the word? Where you have to show that you have strength, you have stamina. I see in here in the chat, we saying that's a kind of rum shop conversation in truth, right? On the flip side, you had the late Kelvin Pope also addressing the issue of a man's strength and his stamina in a calypso entitled Mr. Soft Candle. And again, by the title of this song, you could hint. You could hint where it's going, right? We're taking a little bit of Mr. Soft Candle.
And I call she come in the bachi. I ain't even know she land in the bachi. I feel like she had it right. Who could say she had tonight? As I jump to make me attack, she start to scream like a maniac. Look, Mr. Let me go. Mr. Let me go. Let me go, let me go. I said, oh, let me go. Oh gosh. Mr. Let me go. I go ball, you know. All right. Mr. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go, let me go.
All right, wrong. This is the correct Jew.
This morning, neighbor Winnie cussing, only for the morning, neighbor Winnie cussing. Roy, I can't understand how you call yourself a man. Now since 8 o'clock you dead, up to now you can't bamboo shake. Oh gosh, Mr. Soft Candle,
we should be a name. Mr. Soft Candle. You're making me shake. Mr. Soft Candle. Why you tap on your energy? Mr. Soft Candle. Nice, nice woman like me. All the time she cussing, there no one peeping. Me iron she figure in a short pajama. You know how them cockroach bowl. If you see where one make a hole, the boy want to clean him, but position still the same. Oh God, Mr. Soft Candle. The way you look, one could never guess. Mr. Soft Candle. The whole domestic life is a mess. Mr. Soft Candle. Look better, you leave and go. Mr. Soft Candle. I can't take this pressure no more. Now we start to beg she, darling, take it easy. Just give me 1 minute. I'm sure I could fix it. When I watch the young fella, like he playing tug of war. First time in my life I said, I see a man flying kite in bed. Oh gosh, Mr. Soft Candle. Drink some epitome. Mr. Soft Candle. I can't make it with kiss alone. Mr. Soft Candle. Nice, nice a man like me. Mr. Soft Candle. I'm me wasting the energy. Is he in trouble? He started backpedal. His wife kept insisting, you got to do something. As I fix myself to see, the lights go off instantly. What he do, well, don't ask me. I just feel he walk his head on sheet. Oh gosh, Mr. Soft Candle. So he should be a name. Mr. Soft Candle. Oh, you're making me shake. Mr. Soft Candle. Mr. Soft Candle. I can't make it with kiss alone. Mr. Soft Candle. Mr. Soft Candle.
So we have Duke, of course, being the Mako in this case. So he reporting on a scene that he Makoing and reporting about the man's softness and his inability to please. A nice and again is a reality that happens even up to today. And sometimes nice woman and a man have a situation to handle, and for whatever reason he not up to the task, if you know what I mean. You know. But this is how the Calypsonians would, of course, take these conversations, take these scenarios, take and address with sex. And somehow when we look at Calypsos, we see that, you know, even if, as in this case with Duke, in a reporting status, is always that you would laugh at the situation. Somebody will end up being either the victim or even the person laughing too. I don't think Mr. Soft Candle really was laughing in that situation. What was interesting to note with this song, and I think it's the first time I hear in this line, it was 5 o'clock in the morning that scenario was taking place. They was there since 8 o'clock the night before. But well, the Calypsonian Duke in this case was reporting at what was going on at 5 o'clock in the morning. And of course, once you start to talk about 5 o'clock in the morning and that whole element of sex. This brother comes to mind. Here's Andoli, a little piece.
The police arrest me for my own material that shouldn't be. Two women police arrest me, good Lord, that shouldn't be. I decided to make an invention, so I stuck up my house with iron. The news went around and that was the case. So they come with a warrant to search me place. Look the hour, 5 o'clock in the morning. These women police came searching, and before I could put on my clothes, all the iron exposed. Well, it's now in misery. They started questioning me. Where you get this among the iron? Please answer the question. I say I didn't know it was against the law. And they tell me that explanation too far. So they hold me and they throw me in the Maria and carry me to the female commissioner. Listen to the gospel. 5 o'clock in the morning, these women police came searching, and before I could put on my clothes, all the iron exposed. As soon as they take me out from the Maria, I bounce up the commissioner. When she see me, she turns her face. This time, I had all around the waist. And this was a statement to me. It's the most I've seen in this colony. So charge him for unlawful possession. Oh, my Lord, no bail, but yeah, I know in trouble. 5 o'clock in the morning.
Of course, everybody know the ever popular Iron Man by Zandoli. Again, and this is a song. I like the point that these could have been rum shop conversation. This would be conversation or things that men, you would gather and you would have that kind of conversation as to say, well, yeah, I have and I could do this. I have and I could do this and I could do that and again. People will talk about the different exploits, may it be truth or not, but this is how we used to talk about sex. I see in a galaxy, I don't know who it is, I not see a name, but I don't know, I see you just on mute. I don't know if it's just in passing or, again, at any point in time, if anybody have or feel that they wish to make a contribution. Again, this is not a lecture to say, well, all right, yeah, I just going and sit down and listen to Marcus. This is where you two could jump in and be part of the thing. Sometimes you might hear me singing a little distracted. I'm looking for one particular song all day. And for like, I don't know if I don't remember the name of the Calypso or I just can't find it. And there's a Calypso Rose, which, see, now we're talking about these men giving the perspective on sex. Calypso Rose has a Calypso talking about if you're a man or a manicu man, or what's the use of a man, right? But before the program done, I will find it. I will find that Calypso Rose and be able to rest it down. Miss Simon, good evening and welcome. Thanks for jumping inside.
Good evening, Marcus.
Yeah, so you could jump into it anytime, anywhere.
Marcus.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah.
If I'm here, one of the things about our Calypso, and this has been said time and time again, but it's the way and the artistry, if there's a word, or the artistic way our Calypsonians will find to bring across these type of songs. Some people might want to say it's done in a subtle manner, but we're talking here about dub and tad, right, or double meaning. and especially where sex is concerned, because remember, sex, talking about sex plain like that is considered taboo.
Right.
Right? You know, but it's so unique, and I think this is something that we have in the Caribbean especially. You know, it is so unique to us, and the way in which we bring about this, and I don't think we really as Trinidadians or Trinbagonians really give credence to that ability by our artists, Calypsonians especially, to do that in that type of way. Another thing, I remember some time ago, a couple of years ago, now we're talking about sex and Calypso, sexuality, you know. The group Womantra had a big kick up and fuss about some of the lyrics in the Calypsos and how with some of the sexual connotations to women. And it's very interesting that you would talk about Calypso Rose here now, because here we have a female Calypsonian, you know, singing, you know, sexually and whatever we are told about the men. But these things are never talked about. Now, I don't have a problem with that. As somebody who's an artist, I don't have an issue with that. You know? So it's quite interesting sometimes to see some of these groups come out and talk about these sexually explicit lyrics, and in some cases they talk about violence. But I really want to deal with it from a sexual angle, since that's the conversation this evening. And I think people like that, while they have the interest at women at heart, and we know that this is a time now where we're looking at violence against women, especially where the sexual whole thing is concerned. I think we must be very careful that we don't mess with that type of a delicate tapestry, if you want to call it, you know, where we start to censor our artists now, where these things are concerned, because, you know, everything now is a problem. You can't just go on social media and say anything and everything without somebody. Everybody have a problem with everything. So when now does the artist find that space to say, well, all right, I could sing this and nobody wouldn't get the horrors? It just can't happen. You know, so yeah.
Well, interesting that you made that point, and it's one of the purpose of the discussion this evening to even show how there was stuff, there are things that could have been discussed, or that the Calypsonians discussed in song years ago, that are now offensive. And of course, with the advent of social media, you find everybody having that opinion, and then of course people's opinions seem to be
can go back in the meeting. Well,
and there are some people's view who will, you know, of what they will call them influencers. That's the, so that if I should stand up and say, well, I'm standing up for this cause, or I don't like this, and there will be a following who will also just jump on board and say they don't like. Good evening.
Hamidullah here.
Hey, Hami, what's going on?
Yeah, thanking Adana for reminding me, man.
Nice one.
Nice discussion and listening.
Well, I realize you're inside. I didn't realize it was you, but it's good to have you inside.
I like your topic too.
Well, yeah, you might be able to add, because some of what we're talking about would have predate my existence, but I know you was there.
Nice, man.
Calypso Rose, as we mentioned, was one of the voice to give that, for the lack of a better term, that balance, that woman side, because here it is, you had all these men talking about what you could do and what I'd done, and maybe how much woman I was with and all this kind of thing. But then Calypso Rose came. The name of the song I was trying to remember is simply "A Man Is a Man."
Yeah.
A man is a man.
And then we changed the sex. Your next singer happens to be the only authentic female Calypsonian in the world, Calypso Rose. How about a round of applause for her?
All you hear that introduction?
in an argument because you mentioned the pavement. They've been arguing about man, who they will like when they become a woman. So I joined the conversation and they asked me to give them my opinion. Well, I tell them, look, a man is a man, no man is faced like a frying pan. Oh, be a man, no man is woman, man any man would give you satisfaction. One of the girls turned around and said she don't want no man who to obey. I said she only ignorant, you see. She don't want she friends to laugh at she. Well, a tiny one they calling toy. She said she won't feel a saga boy. He must be working in the police force or either as if he don't work in only work. Well, I tell you, look, a man is a man. Whether he coping with consumption. Chinese man or Indian man, I am sure they could give you satisfaction. When Calypso Rose was small, my mommy used to make me ball. She said, before I get married, she will choose the man for me. She said, don't take no criminal because every minute to the hospital, she said, take a barrister, a minute for evil, I would butter. Well, I tell you, man, a man is a man, but I have one foot or one hand. Big belly man, you must understand, I am sure you could give me satisfaction.
So that's Calypso Rose with A Man is a Man. And she really just summarized this whole thing into one sentence. No matter what the man does do, he could be in construction or wharfman. It comes down that any man will just give you satisfaction. And that's it. That is it.
I just want to touch on Rose. Calypso.
Yeah.
I think Calypso Rose broke every rule that applied to females in Calypso. In terms of every topic that she even ventured to do. And this was just one of her ways of again breaking through the mold and breaking free and making it, I guess, okay for a female Calypsonian to tackle that kind of smut. Because I think she had more than one. She had a few that would fall into that category. And I remember listening to her story and her take on those songs about sex and sexuality were really reflections of things that she went through from childhood to the point where she got to the point where she could rebel.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be safe to say that some of those songs that dealt with that topic, sex and sexual orientation, was her form of rebellion against those very things. That's it.
and that's it.
I totally agree with what she's saying there. I just wanted to say, totally agree. Yes.
Well, Calypso Rose would have been just one. You have other female Calypsonians now who will there's that that lady in the south end. What's her name?
The Dragon Lady?
No, not the Dragon Lady. There's a big one who sings.
Sexy C.
So what's that name?
Sexy C.
All right, yeah. She sings almost anything now. And there are one or two others. We started off with Sexy Susie making certain kind of statements in song now, so that even the role that woman played, things that a woman, the society would have placed on a woman, or the expectations that a woman would say or that she could or cannot say, as Marsha, you hinted, you know, you're hearing Calypso Rose breaking it and saying it. And part, I remember once hearing where she mentioned that, you know, this would have been also in response to, some of these songs that like Sparrow and those other fellas and them was what the men were saying in Calypso at the time, you know. So this is how they dealt with it.
And she proved herself to be a dominant force. Now remember, the whole competition was changed from the Calypso King competition to the Calypso Monarch competition because of Rose. So
Right.
she started to prove her gristle then, so that, you know, I think she earned that the authority to respond. In that era, she didn't hold back anything.
Yep.
If I could come in here, Marcus. If I could come in, Marcus.
Sure, you can. Yeah,
Lady Adana, thank you very much again for reminding me. I just want to touch on.
I will start to charge you a fee.
It's all right. You can charge me. Once it's Kaisi, you can charge me. The first thing is, Lady Adana, respect to Rose. I don't think it's appropriate to call this song a smutty song. We have a problem with that kind of thing, calling them songs smut. Listen how she break this song, the story. It's a double entendre. That's smutty, it's suggestive. Yeah. The next thing I want to put on the table, though, however, is that there's a perception whereby the woman, as if like she came out of somewhere and into the Kaiso. That's not really true. Women has always been there alongside the men in the earlier period of Kaiso. In fact, in the Gayaliad, women were singing while the people play the drums and the people fighting the stick. So the Kaiso coming forward. She was always a warrior inside of there. With the coming of Thelma Hayes, Lady Trinidad, being the first woman into a Kaiso tent, we tend to talk about it in that kind of way. Also, Kaiso Rose wasn't an individual in that respect, with respect to the change of the name from Kaiso King to Monarch. You had Singing Diane and Francine. As a matter of fact, during that period, Francine was always ahead of Rose in the competition. She came second there to Kitchener. What has happened is that the three of them end up in the final. Francine, Singing Diane, and Rose. And there it dawned on the authorities, hello, any day now, one of the women go win the crown. So let me change it now to the Monarch. And when they did that, I think it was in 76, Chocolate won the Monarch. I just want to put that inside there. Thanks very much.
I appreciate that. And Hamidullah, one of these days we must really sit down and talk, because I know Singing Diane would have been your aunt, right?
Nah, my aunt was Princess.
Oh, Princess, sorry. Yeah. Princess was your aunt.
Yeah.
Sorry. Princess was your aunt. That is who I needed to make reference to. We want to sit down and, well, I know Dr. Utley would have done some extensive work with the women in Calypso. And one of these nights we will talk about the women of Calypso, as opposed to the women in Calypso. But that's a later program. We're going to talk about all the women that the Calypsonians sang about. So the Dorothy, the Rebecca, that's one of the later programs. All right, and the way look at it now. You mentioned in terms that this is not smart, and interestingly, that wasn't even a term at any point in time that I wrote down or thought I would mention, in the sense that we have a way that we, again, we put all these labels to things. May it have been the newspapers, the radio men of the time, and but people were discussing various issues. If you want to say smut or slack song, Kitchener has, to me, one of the slackest songs, or a collection of slack songs in in open forum. And
Marcus, let me interrupt you. I don't enjoy the call them slack song because
no,
it's
that
only
was,
hold on to me. It's only we to do that our art form. Venus and Adonis by Shakespeare, if you want to go there. We don't call that smart. We glorify how artistic it is. When it comes to we tend to more or less, I don't understand that at all. To destroy our creativity. If you listen Monk Olga, this is one of Kitchener's masterpiece. Listen to this song carefully. You will see the language, the beauty of poetry, and how the brother arrive at the story. What has happened is that, as a matter of fact, this whole question of double entendre doesn't only relate to suggestive singing, no. Double entendre also finds with serious social commentary, Starting a double entendre,
of
if you listen
course,
to
it is an element, or it is an art of writing throughout. And it's not only just in Calypso.
That's right.
But Hamidullah, I think one of the reasons why the word or the terms slack songs
Smart, yeah.
or smart. And those things come up is because we're discussing that aspect of the art form and how society views it coming out of the Calypsonian, and that is how those terms were born. Because remember,
and that's what against, yes.
Yeah, remember the discussion, open discussion about sex or sexuality in any form was considered, and in some cases
taboo.
Still considered taboo. Hence
Yeah.
the reason why we have the slack song or the or the smut, or because we had to find a bracket or a category to put it into without looking at the creativity that went into it. I understand what you're saying, but I think that is one of the reasons why the words keep coming up.
Yeah, but you see what they're doing, Adana,
it was thrown at us as the Calypsonians.
And Hamidullah, to tell you the truth, before you even mentioned it just now, at no point did I refer to it or because I don't consider it to be that. Because here it is, we see, and this is art. This is art.
Definitely.
And
this is what fighting the whole sense of making it derogatory. That's my whole concern, This art at its best.
Yeah, this is, and that's it. And this is why we having this discussion that we see it how Calypsonian took all the views in society. We mentioned.
But what made it derogatory? What made it that might lead us to our next discussion. This might be our next day, Marcus. But to me, what made it derogatory was the church saying to me that during Lent I can sing Calypso.
Yeah.
When Calypso was our national music.
That's right.
And at the same token, all them love songs that is R&B.
Having my baby by Paul Anka, having my baby.
Yeah.
Never hear nobody say that slack song.
Having my baby.
Yeah.
What a lovely way of saying how much you love me.
That's right.
But Shorty get charged for singing the art of making love. So how has that double standard affected the progress of Calypso over the years?
Well,
and in particular, that style of poetic justice that the Calypsonian once had, that the Calypsonian should have, that gives you free reign to discuss things that affect us. Sex and sexuality is part of our being.
That's right.
If it didn't have that, we couldn't be here.
That's right.
But then it's taboo for us to sing about it because we're singing Calypso in Trinidad. But it's okay for somebody else to sing a R&B or a reggae about it.
That's my point.
See, we came out of a kind of colonial thinking back in the day, when we had censors and people had to be very careful. I mean, they had a movie like Mom and Dad, when men had to go at a certain night and women had to go at a certain night to see maybe child bringing and child bearing, the conception of children and all that kind of stuff. So we always came out of that
bourgeoisie kind of thing, and the music of the Calypso was a kind of grassroots, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
When we had jukebox, the music that played in the jukebox was the music people like to hear. People that wanted to hear about sex and bacchanal and all kind of stuff like that. So that is our thing. But now, you know, as we grew, we go get into social commentary and so on. But double entendre was the main thing in Calypso back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah, double entendre was the seller. I mean, you could talk about melody, you could talk about, you know, Christo and all them guys. They had nice thing. Michael, be a man. Michael, do not touch. Mike, you're tickling me too much, too much. I was down. You understand?
Yeah.
That played.
This very discussion we having went on in Calypso in 1974, and we taking a listen. Here's one from Mark John, Contender. 1974, eh? And again, this is his response, or how he treated with what went on with Shorty, and the very discussion we having now.
Somebody tell me, I want to know. I'm talking about the controversy involving Calypso and Lord Shorty. The art of love, many people say it's too vulgar, but it right away. But look, them people, don't get me wrong. Why they don't criticize them for a record when they hear it? We say, it's hard. You brush now. We say, so why terrorize Shorty? Because he said, whooshy whooshy. Them Jamaican reggae, they should find their same way. It is unfair, I say it is wrong. Why don't Calypso's people quick up wrong? When they should have in fact, them foreign songs they'll hardly attack. The art of love making, I quite agree. Consistent, so drastic, but nevertheless, it can't compare to some of them reggae that I does here. Are you imagine? Have you ever been to bed? White rum in your head and a pum pum big and red. Well, I have. Have you ever been inside a pum pum big and wide, doing the slip and slide?
Well, I have.
So why bring up just because? Shorty say all is yours. Them foreign songs I say, why they don't ban them?
Stay away.
My boom boom is wiggling. I want a man to wreck my body. Oh my, this is really great. My boom boom is in a terrible state. These are the kind of songs I just hear. In them record shops everywhere. Yet the art of love people criticize. But listen to the song they just patronize. Man is cocky, goes as pussy, yes tonight. All right, I say cocky, goes as pussy, yes tonight. So I always speak mama, because Shorty said this thing that you must always keep it handy in case of emergency.
Kaiso.
Yeah, man.
The name of that one is Shorty Affair by Contender. You know? So that's how That's how, and I mean, here it is. Imagine we having that same discussion in 2020, and this song went on in 1974. You know, that would have been what 46 years ago. You know, 46 years ago.
We have grown, but we still short.
Right, and again, this is how, when you look at it, is how we talk about sex or how we relate to sex. I think in that little period when we did the week for Sprang Along, I couldn't help but recall and remember some of the times we would spend in the studio. Sprang and I would have been, and we only talk in Calypso, so he didn't used to talk on air. And people like Sprang Along in studio, we hear music, but he not talking here, saying anything as people would on radio, because Sprang wasn't talking on radio because he and I in the studio talking. And I remember he telling me, he said, you know, every song Kitchener sing is about a woman. I said, true. He said, come now, man, you ain't listen Kitchener always singing about woman. And then he played this Calypso for me. Now, you could hear that it had a little double meaning in it, eh? But it's the sexuality in that coming out in this song.
Plenty hell, a sign of contrast in Miss Lena well. A catching hell, plenty hell, a sign of contrast in Miss Lena well. Lena declares she feeling thirsty. Kitchener, please find some water for me. I say the way I dig it, you must get some. If you well have water, it's bound to come. That's the way how I dig it. That's the noise the well making. She said, Kitchi, man, what's wrong? I find the job is taking too long. I say, well, all I can tell, you have too much bush knocking around the well. You see, every time I dash in this spade, some of the grass tying up the blade. I had to take time to divide the grass to make room for the blade to pass. That's the way how I do it. That's the noise.
Marcus, where is the smut in that? You tell me, where is the smut in that?
It's in your mind, in your mind, in your mind.
I noticed something.
Listen to the story. We got talking.
And walking to right. I say, look, darling Leno, you had a man digging here before. Since I 7, I digging well. And any fast move I could always tell. I say, I feel something in the way. I think he leave a shovel down there. That's the way how I'm digging. It's the well digging. As if me blade now get hot, as fast as I digging it start to cut. I say, darling, have no fear. I guarantee your water is near. To dig on the left, to dig on the right. I peep in the well, nothing yet inside. One dig in the center, and that's the case. Water start flowing all over the place. That's the way how I digging. That's the noise the well making.
So here it is, Kitchener describes something that, if we are honest, and we are all adults in here, he described a certain action plain and clear, you know. The kind of action he described does make big people blush, you know. Right? And of course, this is just the art. Now, for years, I would have heard that song. And yes, you could tell that it have a little double meaning here, talking about digging But here it is, he built a whole story about digging a well.
And you had that device in your own head to understand that, to make that, put that into sex.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, but that is Franco man sex he talking about, and it's not just ordinary sex, is a woman who let go water.
Well, you had to have vice in your own head to dig that though.
But Marcus, you're running up the road. Marcus, take your time. I remember Meme by the
Oh,
Mighty
yeah.
Sparrow is when I get big and see Sparrow sing this song. Then I understood what was happening.
That is
Again, the ad.
Amidula.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
itself. I remember being in a lecture with Chalky when we were doing the Calypso writing course. And one of the things that he continued to say was that with the smut.
All right. I forgive you.
Yeah, that the smut Amidula. That
All right.
that's especially for you. With those double entendre songs, is that it was the children was singing it, you know.
Exactly.
I was singing that.
Children was singing it and they had no clue what they were singing about. And somebody I remember saying that to somebody the other day, and they were saying, well, children smarter nowadays. I don't, so what they're trying to tell me that I was stupid, so I didn't know. I don't think so. I think it's the craft of the thing.
Definitely.
No. You would have heard that well song as a child and you wouldn't have never
You would
figured
have
it out.
never known. But now the some of these songs don't, we lose. It just out
Yeah,
there.
we're ripping it in.
It's out there. It's bang in your face.
Yeah, ripping it. Yeah.
You don't have to use no imagination. You don't even have to have vice. You understand?
That's right. They gain your vice.
They gain you the vice.
I agree that.
Yeah.
I agree that.
I like this. It's too sweet. And I mean,
Marcus, if you get a chance, there are some by kids called curfew. You're breaking the law of the curfew. Beautiful. And again, sexual, double entendre like dirt, but the story plain in your face and sacred.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. And if you now come with a fine-tooth comb and sift through many of the calypsos, you will realize some of the things, or again, as with you saying, is your mind too. So if you look at it with the lens that, okay, this song going to sing about some kind of sexual act, you will find it. But as you rightfully said, children were singing, and this is why maybe, and which is one of our next programs, as we identify the church, and people would have stopped people and banned children from singing, and that's how we end up bastardizing, we bastardizing the calypso.
I want to share experience right now, as you say, bastardizing the calypso. Hamidullah, you remember Man of Steel?
Yeah.
So Man of Steel?
Yes, that was a nice one, Nana.
Well, listen,
that one passed over the head.
But I was told that the song has too many sexual overtures.
That's how we do it, darling. That was a beautiful song.
I was told that.
I thought it passed over
somebody felt that I should not sing it because it a little too sexy for Lady Adana to sing.
Yeah.
You know, you're accustomed singing social commentary. You can't sing that. And I'm like, but this song is not about sex though. And actually, when I was writing it, that was not the thought. The inspiration for that came from a feast. Seeing Ogun, the god of iron dance. But like we said, the vice, the vice here, and that is the beautiful Man of Steel. You know,
I hear you.
So
I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, that brings me to
I will waive your fee for the next one.
No, I like that one, but that brings me to one stick of matches. Adana, that matchstick enough in my hand because I couldn't carry the song just so. You believe that? The matchstick was a prop.
Yes.
for me to carry the song.
But I find your matchstick
understand?
kind of big.
To carry the song, I did not carry the song just so. I thought that if I have a matchstick in my hand, it will bring the image more sacred. If I go just so, they will throw me over the hill. You know why? Because the concept is that he's a Muslim, how you sing that song? I hear you. We tend to do
But
that
you
kind of
don't
thing to you know.
You just cook?
Eh?
You don't cook?
No, you know, and sometimes you hear people singing Francomen double meaning songs, some of them in Portuguese. There are one or two soca parang that for this purpose, I wouldn't even call the name of the song or the singer, but there are some songs that I, in my radio time, didn't used to play because I find it was in poor taste and it wasn't the right space, you know, and but they justify, the artist would have justified, and rightfully so, that here what I not singing about borrowing nothing from a neighbor or bringing it back, you know, you know, things that kind of, to me, it begs now for us to consider time and space, but the craft is still there. And we're seeing that sometimes we lose in the craft. Now, the next part of tonight's discussion is sexual orientation. And if I could start to change gears a little bit, and as we on this note, I want to throw out a song to you all. Again, another song that I think I would have been playing on radio because I like the song, and the song just passed me by. Is by Roy and Lion. One entitled Cheek to Cheek.
It's a romantic game that it was playing, socially known as cheek to cheek dancing. A romantic game that the girls play, socially known as cheek to cheek dancing. They date up each other for a matinee, challenging that men are secondary. The way they hug up in broad daylight gives you an incentive of what goes on at night. And though they love to go on pictures by a river or a creek, yet it does not thrill them half as much as when dancing cheek to cheek.
Nice.
Masters, boy, masters.
That's right.
As far as I learned, this funny affair was started by some girls who had a new idea and decided that their males were now unable, but the girls, of course, were much more capable. Now they are so interested in this modern game that rich and poor, black and white girls are doing the same. Not long ago, in fact only last week, I heard the police caught two girls dancing cheek to cheek. And if you saw lovely Nurse Mona looking so amiable and meek, you wouldn't dare to assume that this lovely lady indulged in dancing cheek to cheek. One day I invited one Nurse Mona to go for a date on Point Kumana. We had vermouth and Scotch liquor, so you can imagine the temperature. But when on the beach she met one Nurse Ivy, you know from then Nurse Mona didn't business with me. In vexation I went for a swim. When I returned to the bathhouse I couldn't get in. And so I kept on
Knocking and knocking.
knocking until my limbs got weak. But you know, those lovely ladies won't let me in, but I was dancing cheek to cheek.
This was a calypso I used to play on radio because I'd like the orchestration. I used to play this only because I like the music. I like how they use a piano. I like how they just use a little, what is that? That was a clarinet or a flute inside there. Only to realize after somebody brought it to my attention. They say, Marcus, you know what is dancing cheek to cheek? I thought it was a trick question. They said, listen to the song again. And I mean, this is one of the earlier calypsos that dealt with lesbians in society. Right? Again, tonight is the night for that, so we could say it. Of course, now, how many calypsos could even address that? Because it's as if, what can you say that wouldn't offend somebody? You know, how would society, it's as if now in a modern society, it's so commonplace that people not even talking about it anymore.
But Marcus, I just said that. Let me introduce you to a bombastic Bajan went and invaded a carnival band. You ever listen to that? He didn't have no costume on. He didn't understand. Come out the band, bitch, come out the band. You know that song?
I know the song. Yeah.
And he dealing with, what you dealing with there? Listen to the song.
Yeah, of course.
Homosexuality.
Yeah. And I mean, we come into that, as I say, this is the other part of tonight's discussion. And we would listen to some of the calypsos and how they address those things. And it's important, Hamidullah, for you to take note of where he mentioned about a Bajan, right?
Yeah.
And I will and we will come to the reason why or how the Calypsonians, and I know you know the reason, but Witty, you were about to say as well, you got in trouble or you nearly get in trouble.
I get in trouble in our tent with that. when I come home and I sing Hennessy.
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a nice one, man. That was a nice one, brother. That was a nice one.
Thank you, partner.
That was
Hennessy
a nice one.
in the tent by the savannah.
Good
and
crap,
it's Hennessy in the tent up in La Jolla.
Good crap.
Hennessy in Classic Russo, an ambassador. And when I went in the review tent, it's Hennessy evermore. So I want to know, Saint Ram is macho. Who's allowing them to change the beverage at Calypso?
Yeah.
Burning question. I went to ask Tuko, but when I reached there, more Hennessy they also, mama, yo.
This is Witty.
Yeah.
Witty, right?
Yeah.
Witty, yeah, man. Nice seeing you, man. This is
Nice
always
one,
like
nice.
that song. Beautiful,
man. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
I get in trouble with weekend in that because man complain.
In another year too, Plain Cook get in trouble for singing one about a cocaine band. You know that one? Plain Cook stand at someone, he bring a cocaine band, and he said to call me. Oh God, guy so nice too, man.
Right?
Yeah,
But Witty, your song would have been one of the recent songs that hint to that double meaning. And the thing is, now it is offensive because there are speculations that the song might be correct, right?
Yes. So the song was correct. That's why I get in trouble. Man was upset.
Marcus, what's your language, Marcus? What's your language?
Tonight is the night for that. We're talking Calypso. Let's talk Calypso.
I get in trouble for that. The last week they put me to sit down, boy. They say, nah, boy, man, put me to sit down on the bench.
Oh, you're telling me?
And the thing is, within a modern day society, there are things that we cannot say anymore. The whole concept or the idea of homosexuality, even the terminologies.
Yeah.
So Bomber had a Calypso entitled Mama Men.
Yeah.
And if you call somebody a mama man now, you could face litigation.
Yeah.
Right? So here, let me take in a little piece of Mama Man by Bomber.
Cock up your ears if you want to hear Mama Men confusion in Woodford Square. Cock your ears and listen, you go get your share. Mama Men's and in Woodford Square. Well, if you hear the filthy expression, the Mama Men cussing for Calypsonian. I never hear rope talk so since I'm born, especially by a hishi named Sarah Vaughan. Hear the dancer, yeah, what happened to you coming fancy? Since I was a little chick, a friend in the blood shorty. Look me cross to besides, I never hear more. Shorty does always tell me pass him through me back door. I wouldn't lie, I was feeling shame when I hear them calling Calypsonian's name. So I hide behind a fountain, man, how you mean? Because I fix up my body, was to take the scene. Well, up came a fat red policeman. I say, well, he go lock them up in the station. Not knowing, can't tell that is really true. The policeman was a red hot mama man too. And if you hear, it's a long time I joined up the police service. Right in the square, only talking out my business. But no blankety blinking Calypsonian could ever blinkety blank this Macune man. Well, if you hear how the Mama Men cackling in the square like some sitting hen in a bunch, say, listen, you Donnelly, it's a long time you want to take the Douglas from me. Mrs. Robinson, tell Georgina, me and business with you, my straight man is slipper. Raquel jump up and say, look, all you and know, my man is the high and mighty sparrow. Yeah, Michelle, me and business with no Calypsonian. They're nice, but I find out they're too moving. Is only Lord Cypher that really love, but he pull out on me when push comes to shove. Well, if you see them Mama Men fight, they scratching, they pinching and they pelting fight. I'll get one, they call Tea Blues. Beat up Chinese Linda with her high heel shoes, and when they finish, make their confusion. They shaking up themselves and talking like woman, and nearly drop dead when I hear one say, look, my boyfriend, Poma coming down there. Hey, Poma darling, we're going on. It look like you come to check out Sarah Vaughan. It does happen for true, but it's very rare. Mama Men confusion in Woodford Square.
The Bomber used two terms that no longer we could use. The whole idea of Mama Men, and he said he, she named Sarah Vaughan, you know. You can't call people by names, or you can't refer. I mean, maybe in small pockets, maybe privately, but God forbid if you should go on Facebook, or you could go anywhere in a public space and speak in that language anymore. And one of the interesting note that I wanted to throw in there too, again, a police was mentioned. Right? a police was mentioned. Let me play one more. I see a little, let me play one more for you, and then I want to make a point. This one is by Lord Briner, who put pepper in the Vaseline.
Two bedroom bachelors living next door. Lord, I can't take this thing anymore. Two Belgian bachelors living next door. Oh Lord, I can't take this thing anymore. Coming home one night about 12:30, so I step in my room very easy. Suddenly I see the light went out, and in no time at all the Belgian shout, who put pepper in the Vaseline? Oh, you can hear how they ball in. Who put pepper in the Vaseline? Fire in the wire, how you mean? When I couldn't take on the horror, I decided to contact the law. Immediately, I called the police to charge them for disturbing the peace. Imagine they sent a policeman named Dan to make investigation. He went in the room, I'm telling you. In 2 minutes, the police start calling too. Who put them in the Vaseline? Oh Lord, if you hear how they calling, who put them in the Vaseline? I hear you, wonder how you feel.
So you could always go on YouTube and you could find that Brian easy. Again, I just pausing it there as to reflect on that element of the mention again of a Bajan.
Yeah.
And the mention of a policeman. And after listening to some of these songs, I again in my own young naive mind, when I started listening Calypso, I asked, well, why? How come it's always a Bajan?
Yeah.
Even, I mean, I went to all boys secondary school, and even from back in school days, as if you could hear the little joke that don't drop your soap, you know, and that fella is a Bajan, you know, and sometimes at first it's like I can't understand what it is, and only to find out that part of, now I don't know, I cannot speak, I have no authority, I have no kind of research to find out if an abundance of Bajans. I have been to Barbados and nobody ever approached me. But what has
nobody meeting the airport either?
What has happened is that research which suggests that we got, at some point in time, there was a statement, I can't recall the year, but that we were ungovernable. We couldn't handle our own affairs, so that police in Trinidad was brought in from Grenada and Barbados, St. Lucia, right? So that with the police coming in, now, you know, with this joke about the lady on YouTube now, all you're too wicked, which is the cry now. All you're too wicked. In years gone by, the cry was not you're too wicked. Is that all you as a Bajan, they would insinuate or imply that you're homosexual. And that's how society was lashing out at the police. And we see it reflected in the Calypsos. So this is how a lot of Calypsos would refer to, it's as if from the time you had to talk about a homosexual, you would have mentioned a police.
A Bajan
police. You know? And it was interesting to just pull that piece of, or be able to pull that piece of information from the Calypsos. Again, we know the line, by Calypsos our stories are told. Right?
Yeah, but also, Marcus, what has happened there, the art from Calypso in particular, has always mirrored the society, you know. What any time and space you want to check on it, you will see the Calypso reflecting that. It's the same situation you have with the men boasting of Bravo days, or the war and that kind of thing. There's a period where the man in the dominance and thing there with respect to his sexual powers and thing. That's why Rose came in after now to counter and deal with that. See?
Yeah.
Always had that in the situation. Yeah.
Right. So this is how But again, the art of storytelling is most prominent.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Most prominent.
But I'm surprised you thought Dr. Beckles when you go there, you know.
No, well, it's Dr. Beckles are going to next.
That was it.
It's Dr. Beckles are going to next. And, and this is one from a Guyanese, Canary, Lord Canary, with this song entitled Dr. Beckles.
First thing on this portion happens to be a chap we go all the way. I want a round of applause for Canary.
I must be insane to go by Dr. Beckles' clinic again. I must be insane to go by Dr. Beckles' clinic again. I was suffering
with a certain thing
which caused me to go by him. One injection, he said, that will bring you fit. Well, if you see how he planning to give it, he make a bend down and touch me too. Then he come round behind me so his two hands on my shoulders that I could see. Still he using a next hand to him.
And from the time you start to hear that, you know the direction Canary going.
Yeah, man. Calypso boy, the sweetest thing in the world.
Telling me.
Now, you know, I even watching one or two of the reactions, and when you hear songs like this, you just always see people reaction. You just see women blush. Sometimes you will see people bow their head. It's so unique because again, sex has always been a taboo topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
A taboo topic for us to talk about. You know, it has been, and it's not a topic that we somehow we just still, you know, we just like when we listen, there's a recording of Sparrow's Saltfish,
Yeah.
and he describes how people just blush. Let me see if I could find that. And it describes how, and he might be just he was maybe just given an observer's perspective.
Or eater perspective.
Was it this one?
Give them a little rhyme or something. Tell them about Mary. You always talk about Mary had a little lamb. You know that one? Mary had a little lamb. You don't believe Mary had a little lamb? Mary had a little sheep. She took the sheep with her to sleep. The little sheep turned into a ram. And then Mary had a little lamb.
Of course, that's just a little taste. That's not the Sparrow I wanted, but I mean, and Sparrow was one of the Calypsonians who became, I think, and there are always, and I will make this statement here, there are always two pillars in the art form, and it's not unique only to ours. but there are always two dominant pillars. At one time, it would have, well, in a modern time, it might be Bungie and Marshall, all right, in terms of, well, soca. At one time, you would have had the Kitchener Sparrow. You might have had a Sparrow melody. You would have had Roy and Lion and
Attila.
yeah, you know. But there are always two pillars. And I think when it comes to these kind of discussions in Calypso, you would have had Sparrow and Shorty. May it have been by what may be described as their livelihood or the perceived livelihood. I remember once, I think that was one of my first questions ever to Sparrow, you know. I got to do a show. I was playing pan for Sparrow. So we had to overnight in a hotel in Atlanta and I remember asking Sparrow, because as a child growing up, as a young man, I was so mesmerized by his stories in song. So the question I asked him is, you know, all what you sing about is true? You really do all what you do? And you know, he just dropped his voice. He said, well, well, if it is that I can speak on it, that means I must know about it. And I say, all right. I say, so you ever eat a white meat or some little stupid kind of, you know, that foolish kind of comment? He said, oh, you could ask me a question like that. You know, but Sparrow to me was one of, and I mean, Sparrow has a collection of songs that we could play that has the sexual implication.
All night long.
We could go, I mean, and we could gather it from the Soulfish. Somebody mentioned Meme. And again, here it is that he was openly saying, making love one day to a girl, they call Meme. Right? Meme was a married woman.
You listen good, Papa.
I tell you, Meme was a married woman that he carried on Claxton Bay.
You know, a lot of we pick up that, eh? Yeah, well done.
Yeah, Meme was a married woman that was having an affair. Well, I don't know if to call it an affair. Meme just finds herself in a situation. And these are discussions. I mean, usually you might hear, and there were different calypsos, people talking about horn, but this is from the other side. This is, maybe was the married woman who went, and Sparrow say, you know, you can't be greedy. When you're getting something, don't be greedy. Carry somebody rum home for your husband.
That's energizing now.
Well, it could be all that, and then too, she could have a good. Without even trying to implicate myself here, I mean, the husband go smell rum on she breath. You know, he started then ask where it was, and so by carrying home some rum, she could say, "Well, I was just lying with some friend," and
all right, yeah.
You know, the whole
like your perspective.
You know, look, I bring some rum for you.
You're a bright fella. I like your perspective.
Good.
You're bright.
Yeah.
Well, according to Sparrow, so I can't speak about it if I don't know about it. Right? And I mean, Meme is a song. If I'm not, Meme was not Road March too.
Yeah. I think it was a road march, yes.
Yeah, So imagine the whole tongue was jumping and singing to that, but nobody was really discussing the fact that Mimi was a married woman. And again, this is how and now we jump in between this sexuality and sex in so we reach in a whole kind of bundle now. I saw somebody mention earlier, Norman, is that you as a Calypso, switching back to sexuality? This is where people started that shift. Today, we see and we hear of transsexuals and there are so many new titles that I and all sometimes lost. There are people who even suggesting that you should not call a child he or she until they decide which sexuality they're picking.
Telling me? Yeah, that's a far out kind of thing. Yeah.
No, the thing is, that's an element in society. How is the Calypsonians, or it seems as though, let me rephrase that, Calypsonians avoiding either litigation or avoiding the topic entirely because nobody is singing about those kind of thing again? Yeah, hearing that again. Or is it that it's not entertaining anymore? Because how could you put that when you would have heard Duke, Lord Bryner, their stories would have been like a listener perspective. How can you now write a calypso overhearing a conversation? And I mean, you could do that. I mean, Croco at times, not at times, many a times, Croco will tell you all kind of thing. Croco has one that he talks, oh, what was the name of that one?
Lambi Funeral.
Well, yeah, I have Lambi, where I have Lambi Funeral. I did write down the Lambi Funeral inside here. Should have Lambi Funeral here.
Well, Marcus, we have to appreciate too, the society has evolved. We come away from that kind of situation, if only because of everybody know about pre-action protocol and that kind of thing.
And this is what in terms of litigation, because even as Witty hinted, his song, I mean, he may be lucky, then people weren't as easy to get a lawyer to say something.
Yeah.
But if somebody feel that it fall in the garden, or if you only call a name.
Yeah, if I call a name, I dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't call any name.
You hear Calypsonians avoiding the litigation. And I mean, ever since you see the craft, where they give the reporter's perspective. Bomber did it as well when we listened to Mama Men. He was walking and he hear a conversation, the confusion going on in Woodford Square.
You so almost a master that. Always somebody tell you or hear. Yeah.
Right? Crow would talk about his dream.
Yeah.
Right?
But going back to Norman, is that true? That's one of these songs. If Mocha was alive and you was to ask him to sing that, he vexed you know. That is the first song that taken to the finals, yeah. And he disliked the song after. For some reason, he didn't want no part of that song after that. In fact, he told me personally he didn't like that song at all.
Yeah.
Is that true, yeah? So you see what happening to not only from the artist, society as a whole has been moving away from that kind of situation, really. Because we have a different perspective right now in terms of how we see life. Just like you're making the point, or somebody made the point. The child that reaches a certain age to determine whether it's boy or girl. That's what we reach. You have a song by Unity called The Queen of the Band Is a Man. You know that song?
No, I'm not familiar with that one, you know.
Yeah, there was a year when I think it was in Tobago with the carnival. queen, the damage herself or something kind of thing. So, and this man put on the costume and parade as a queen and win the competition. He made this the queen of the band is a man.
See, when a behavior becomes normalized, it loses the shock value. You can't come in a tent and sing that. That's a common thing, you know what I mean?
Now, using that same scenario, Hamidullah, that you now mentioned that something happened to the queen and he parade, that's one perspective, and that might have been just the truth. But there is also the implication that men who involve in some of the arts are in fact girls. Again, wrong shop talk. I saying it.
No, it happened plenty of that. You're right. In fact, in the older days in Hollywood and that place and thing, a lot of the roles you see that performed by women was men really doing it, you know.
But ever since in Shakespeare days.
All right. Yeah.
Shakespeare, I mean, back in those, I remember doing this in literature somewhere. It was only men that was they would have called it the court. Only men or boys. So sometimes even if somebody knew that they wanted to go down that road, men or boys would have been castrated, so they would not have gone through puberty. So that the voice wouldn't drop low, they wouldn't grow beard and that kind of thing, so that they could have or get roles maybe to be girls or females.
You see, we still talking art. You understand what I'm saying? And we find nothing derogatory about that, you know. But it was a Calypso near there, all kind of thing. I hear you.
And that's the, and these are the facts of society. The things are around us. The thing is, the Calypsonians, when they present their piece, would usually hold up society into people's face, and somehow we just can't accept, or we can't always treat with or agree with when we hold up that truth. I mean, if it is somebody wants to say, and I mean, part of this topic came about when with this little viral video that went on with Kroko recently. Right? And Kroko would have sung, let me see if I could just put my hand on it.
The Family Planning Association, it's like time for you to take a stand. Make a form and serious distinction of who is man and who is woman. All you man try is malnutrition, but all you sit down, they like all you're dumb. Caravan called New York and he buy a child. Come back saying, oh, he's the mom. Is the best friend. Where the hell father at them doing? A mother's milk is where they depriving. I pray to God the baby and dead. Was I no for sure that can save breast. When a woman breastfeed a baby, she and the baby just form a gun. Sometimes the baby feeling sickly. This the left breast is sleeping on. Oh God. But recently you're trying to tell me how all you could do without breast. So when the baby is sick and looking for carrots, I think I hear on the mother chest.
Yeah. You follow that with Blakey's Something Wrong.
Something
you know that
wrong.
one?
Yeah, remember that one. Something wrong.
They want to feel now coming down. Something wrong.
Yeah, boy.
Right? So here it is. And somebody was saying recently that that Croco wrong and out of place, how we could sing this song. How we could sing this.
This Calypso.
You know?
This
And that
Calypso.
must be something wrong, because if you go back to something wrong, Blakey called name.
Right?
Blakey called 2 high-profile people name in the song.
I'm looking for it here.
You didn't have that kind of high profile lawyers. You didn't have that kind of the Lord didn't reach up there yet. Can't sing that today. Either get locked up.
We're taking a little bit of the Blakey. There's something wrong. The volume low on this. All right, this quality. I ain't have a good quality of it somehow.
Yeah.
Something wrong with something wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's almost the same treatment that Croco gave. Blakey did the same thing in a earlier period.
Right? Now again, we saw Croco attempting to take it from the perspective that a man can't, well, he was really making a statement that a man can be the mother. He can raise a child. But now we have, of course, in society, we have these same-sex unions and discussions and things like that. Right? So, and the thing is, as we would have heard in the background, there were some people, some people will ball Calypso, and they would laugh and giggle and enjoy that. And then you would play that same Calypso in another forum and people offended.
That's the contradiction. That's the contradiction right there.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
How you could say that. And things like this, I want to find back. Before we done, I will find back the Lambi's funeral. Again, Croco too, and it seems as though he would be one of the folks who still finding a way to run it now. Croco being Croco could still be raw and direct. In he not billing or giving you too much story when it comes to that. He
No
coming
double story. No double story.
he coming to tell you.
He's going for the juggler.
Yeah.
And that's part of the craft that we start to lose. We start to lose that somewhere where we not finding a nice way to mask it, or to massage it in. Is that we come raw?
You see, because what happened to it in the earlier period, we had that responsibility, because to do otherwise was to your peril, Something straight and too direct. They let you up. You understand? But that has been removed. We're more in a liberal form right now. So the same way they want.
Yeah. Right. So we're taking in a little bit of Lambi's funeral. And again, this too is just one of the ways that we deal with some of the homosexuality. And we see in here where, and let's listen it and then we will analyze what we heard.
You're talking about the humorous funeral. What's the K1 in the cathedral? I tell me boss, I ain't coming to work at all. I go in and see them, I go, man, we can wall. I'm I make sure I reach the holy. I see homos from all walks of society. Big man crying. They ain't no shame. I tell myself they either sick or out of the brain. A big hairy man, but Rambi Wyatt. No, I don't have to work for my daily bread. But not telling him, boy, you feel so sad. It's a plenty who laugh in Trinidad. He said me want no other man here in Trinbago. As I go out with them, the whole public know. And while he crying and sobbing, trying to fix the dress, I fell apart and pulled out the homo press. They're hatching them in the radio station. I hear they infest the television. The Sodom and Gomorrah thing take over the world. No longer can you differentiate Paul from Pearl. A man so big and strong and physically fit. We should have known the Lord making the potato spit. I think he's a weaker bad and a totish pest. If he was smart, that would not happen at Queens back west. Imagine a big strong man dead, not one woman cry. Only I said I had back my love in the eye. Big man clutching purse and mop in the face. The funeral was a real national disgrace. Amanda man, let's walk down to the cemetery. All them homos walking, come and walk with me. He said me walking because my belly hurting. So I am going cause there's them thing I seeing. This kind of slackness that have me amazed. With them big boys out here nowadays. If I go home to take a drink of some rum and wine, and I'll tell you they start watching at you behind. Boy, you know I was watching at you for a long time. And when they go to the fridge, start to walk and whine. And before you realize that these men possess, to get away you might have to stab them in the chest. I see Rainy crying and trying to hide. He don't want Chambers and them to know he outside. And Twine flying plane, she ain't get all. No one then crash like a ball. A man in a tight pants, the body print out. Lining me two big Makume man from south. I had June, smooth. I fall out the hand. 5 more homos came in car. They don't leave. People sing this song as only bacchanal, but this song is also educational. I am teaching the young men of this nation. It could be better to get intimate with a man. We just lose Robertson and Liberace. I don't want to see this thing spread through the whole country. It is a serious disease. It can no cure. I try to help the way they kill crop pressure for. The city council should start to clean up the square. Remove all them Sodom and Gomorrah men from here. And all them boys who just walk with ring in the air. Get that good insecticide and spray by. You see, we have to do something to stamp out this curse, or else good men like me going to have to walk reverse. So all you come out and help in this clean up campaign, so I wouldn't have to sing in them Makume clothes again. Thank you.
Crew in fine style. telling us. Again, taking it from the reporter perspective, one, so we see that being the trend, because I don't think there will be any Calypsonian who will come out and say that I was there, or I do this, or I do that. I don't think you will see, and but then again, society changing in such a way that you may have somebody who, as they would say, willing or ready to come out. And I would challenge any, because part of it, I mean, these are discussions that society having. I wouldn't doubt if a day we have somebody, a performer coming out and singing from a homosexual perspective, how welcoming that song would be, I don't know. But I would not be surprised if it happens soon, because if we're looking at the trend, I think the Calypsonian would always disguise or be the observer. So Crow went and observed the funeral, and he would come on stage and he was in a dress and he do everything. So he looked the part, but he really saying that he went and watched. He take the whole day from work. He tell the boss he ain't coming. All that he tell us in song. And by the last verse you hear he saying that the reason why he doing all this or saying this is that he trying to help, so as if to justify or to numb the discussion. But of course, you all imagine this song being performed in a tent now. At one point in time, or maybe in the 80s, the 90s, this would have been greeted with laughter, humor. People would, a song like this might get encore. In a modern day society, I mean, you might be lucky if you could pull a reverse.
You mean you might get to encore now?
Nah, you ain't get an encore for. I don't know. I don't think you will get an encore really a song like this anymore.
I hear you. I respect what you say. It's true.
I don't feel so, because it's like, all right, people gonna be how we could say that. How we could say that.
Behavior became normalized, man.
You know, as I see here in the chat, we had to tiptoe around the hedge. Miguel, it's like, and that's what she's saying here, is that we had to tiptoe. You can't say that. And again, we have grown so sensitive as a society. Now, the thing is, and here's in terms of my discussion, I will challenge any Calypsonian or Calypsonians. How do we still keep the element of sex and or sexual orientation alive in songs? Because if it is, and we have in previous discussions in this forum, talk about the entertainment value. Is it that sex is not entertaining anymore?
Yeah, Marcus. But what happened is your sense of value did not being questioned. Sex would always be a part of the entertainment because sex is innate. Sex is human. Sex is with us. But the whole question of your values as the society evolves, that's where the skill and trick will come in to make it palatable.
Yeah.
To me, within recent time, you see the only direction I could see it handling is, and people who started touching on the topic about like how with the influx of the Venezuelans, you will hear people hinting to maybe activities or what they might do with a venue, or they go with but again, not as we would have seen before of that whole discussion about sex. And again, we in a society now where And these are all reasons why too I sometimes question the value of Calypso. I asked it in a previous session like this. What's the value or the purpose of Calypso? And if the Calypsonians and Calypso as an art, as we clearly identified, cannot discuss these things, then where is it being discussed?
You see what, if I come in again there, Marcus,
Mm-hmm.
art is about life, you know. However you find it, it will always be interfering with these issues, whether it's Kaiso, whether it's R&B, whoever it is. That foundation in terms of the human expression and the value to find ourselves as a people, it will always create that space. And being creative as we are, we will find a way to bring that same sexual situation you're talking about to life again for entertainment purpose. It always be like that.
Yeah, you know, again, is that we have grown so cautious now. We have grown so cautious that is it okay to say that? No, it might be okay to put up a status on Facebook, or you might see somebody, you will see little memes. That's the new form of expression. Somebody might do a meme, and what it is the mood. I'm in a mood. You might see a picture, and that is it.
No, but you see, Marcus, just to prolong the discussion there, what we have discovered right now, a lot of people who normally would have been closet in terms of the behavior and thing and the sexual orientation, they now come out and saying, is that? I mean, you see it in pro football, you see it in athletics and all, and so the only reason why the Calypso at some point in time wouldn't arrive at that level.
And this is why I made that statement. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. You may have, you may have a Calypsonian jumping out and saying,
you're watching your uncle, boy. Why you see that? You're watching your uncle.
No, again, and I mean this will even involve the audience that we singing to. How acceptable or how ready are we as a society for an artist, somebody who, and the Calypsonian and the artist is somebody who the society still holds in high esteem. How then will they be? I mean, at one time, this was such a macho or mass. And I mean, when we listened to some of the earlier calypsos this evening that we started listening, when you hear Puppet Master say, he drinking this to strengthen the boy.
Yeah.
You know, this was such a macho art form. There are speculations, and I mean, I would have had little off-air conversations back in my radio days with people hinting to various artists who would have been singing one thing on stage and acting something different in the private space.
Yeah. I know about artists singing no to drugs, and before they go on stage, they take the drugs. No, but we as creative people go find a way to address the situation. Because in the average Calypsonian, before they do the work together, they study the audience. The average Calypsonian do that. Who are singing for? Who I want to attract? What I want to say here? Them is values to come into your composition. Without that, you can't go nowhere.
I look forward to see the day that we could have that kind of fruitful, open, and that we don't lose the element, that double entendre, I think I do it, but I always have to refer to more. For our class, I mean, this is maybe a different audience, but I will play fast and sing in front Calypsonians. I sang this song, and it was playful in one extent. And then recently I performed it somewhere, and people were offended, and the little calypso went like something like this. I met this girl named Cathy. If you see the lady, she her body, she really, really sexy. Cathy is the kind of girl any man would want. She packing in the back, packing in the front. It had this thing that Cathy does do. Oh, God, I'm ashamed telling it to you. Cathy just so huggable. Cathy is adorable. She is commendable. She is kissable, but she lovable, she lovable, she lovable, she lovable, she lovable, she lovable. Cathy lovable. We went and meet she family. She mommy and she daddy. She uncle and she auntie. She cousin and she granny. Whoever's the rest. Just so the song just jump out my head. But here it is. I sang that little song, and it, people, that little, as they will say, the ditty. And people singing along and they're liking it. And that kind of thing. And then bam, I went and performed somewhere else, and I thought, well, let me pull out my own song. I see a man cross his leg, he fold the arm, and he sit down and he watching me like, how you could come here and sing this song?
Yeah.
He really didn't come after the performance and say, what made you choose that song to perform? And again, what it showed me that one, society, maybe time and space, maybe that was my learning curve too.
Yeah,
You have to
time and
know
place.
time and space.
Time
Yeah, but
and place.
he was
Time
only
and
one
place.
out of the whole lot. He
Time
was
and
only one out of
place.
the whole lot.
But it was not church audience, because I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't go and sing that in a church, right? But
No,
the audience was
stuffy.
Conservative.
Okay,
Like,
conservative. Yes.
no, but that is the word too, liberty.
Yeah.
But it was a conservative audience, and it was actually a corporate event.
Oh no, you can't sing that in a corporate event.
So it was a corporate event. And
There are
these
stuffed shirts.
And you see, a few things happened there, Marcus. Is for starters, he is a minority in the whole scheme of things, which is what the world is about. The majority go on with you, and a minority protesting like what you're doing. You understand his sense of value. You don't know what he tastes. Suppose he don't like a woman at all now. You used to come talk about she lovable. I hear you.
Well, right. And of course, playfully in my mind, from the time he started to talk to me, I said, well, you may be lovable too. I said, it has to be that you lovable too.
No, but the treatment of the topic I would say to you is the kind of treatment that always find favorite people. I find it to be classical, cleverly crafted. It will always find favorite people. And at the same time, you must have somebody inside who like you. If everybody likes you, something wrong with you. Look at that. Suppose you want him cutting the one, he had cutting up again.
Yeah, you understand? It brings back bitter memories about that.
That's right.
Cathy lovable for somebody else.
Oh, you remind him of Cathy, man.
Somebody else.
So these are just different elements, but I am curious to see in a modern society how and where we going with the topic of sex. I am very curious to see, how we could treat with that. That is one of the topics. Because if it is that we're discussing and we're talking about bringing the entertainment and the different values, we want to stray away just from the political calypsos, and I mean, this in essence too is a social commentary.
Yes.
This is a social commentary. How it is or where it is, I want to know how we discussing this. How are we discussing this?
We go find a way, man. This society is like water. It will settle itself. Trust me. We will find our way. That's how we are.
Right.
I like your approach. I like how you handle that topic. Very, very nice and good. I root for that all the time.
Yeah, man. One of these days I go audition for a tent.
There are always situations, there are always jokes, there are always topics around something. There's we find
we go find ways.
Yeah, we gonna find ways.
Because I know that Dr. Witty Day. I listened to that piece of work he put down there, and I mean I was marveled. I never see that one before. I didn't see that. When he dropped that on me, I said, shit, song boy. Yeah. So we go find a way.
We go find our way, man. We go find our way.
Your song on YouTube?
Hennessy?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I think that album, yes. Check it out.
It's a clever one, man. Nice. Yeah.
I only seen one thing for you there on YouTube.
The Model Citizen album.
Yeah. That's a nice song too, but yeah, that's Citizen song. Very good. We hear some nice songs, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that nice one too. You see, as he's looking for that right now, we think part of the problem in Calypso we have is a situation who say what, We don't tend to take time to listen to everybody, Pay attention. We tend to listen only to the so-called luminaries and the bigger ones.
Yes.
Doing some kind of work. I mean, I not before here saying that to you. That Citizen song is a beautiful one too. I like your concept.
And it's a true song, eh?
And to answer Marcus, it's about concept, When you get the concept coming at you, how you handle it and thing, that's what will make a difference. That's why you go find a way. Once you have that creative juice flowing in front of you, you get a concept, you could bring it in a situation people could understand it better. Yeah.
I'm not putting my hands.
You're not seeing it? Okay. I'll get it up. I'll get it up next week.
Right. But
next week. I'll get it up next week.
But these are just some of the I want to play another Calypso here. Which would be another approach. And we could see some of the similarity. And one of the things, just as how we begging or asking how it is Calypsonian could approach it. And Lady Adana mentioned it earlier, where is rum shop talk. This would be talk that on the ground. But the thing is, now what people talking on the ground, you can't say in public. And I think that's where the challenge comes. Right? Here's a Calypso. The name of it is 2 at 25.
Nice, man. Nice, the Wizard.
Yeah, Wizard.
That's a nice one too, yeah.
So when you have Sparrow with songs like Age is Just a Number, it's as if to say, despite I getting old, I could still handle myself.
Yeah.
Sparrow gave us the both of them. But taking this one.
Nicholson, my friend, warned me to keep away from them woman over 50. Blash from Tobago talk it openly. He don't want no woman past half a century. I say, boy, you looking for confusion. I get no joy living under them conditions. Them woman will use me and make me shame. They will see me in tongue and call me nasty name. Wizard, he said, you talking nonsense because you never had a bad experience. When you going out, moving through your door, they don't shout for you to bring back a whole drugstore. What they want? They want soft candles, they want tiger balm, even pepper leaf to put on boil under their arm. Fix and Thomas G, they rub down with dengue. Can't get the cream and oil of holy. They soak their head with lime alcohol. They use so much Dettol. Why the whole room does smell like a hospital? And when I come, things does turn old mass. Whole time, they lie down, they passing gas. Not me, ladies, I disagree. Wizzy, the man tell me frankly, to stay young, strong, vibe and alive, forget them 50 and take towards 25.
Right, so Wizard of Oz give us a little
Yeah, surprise, yeah? Old age is disaster.
I should have a little surprise inside there.
Yeah, old age is a disaster.
Right? And again, so that parallel to discussing or talking sex, you find Calypsonians now start to talk about the age in relation to.
Yeah. There you go, concept. You see, so we will find a way.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
We must find a way, man.
I mean, we strayed away. We didn't discuss. We didn't touch the common ones, as I say, by the sparrows. And I mean some of the more obvious, straight in your face songs. I know. I'll see. I'm trying to see if I could pull up the surpriser.
Sparrow is a study by itself when it comes to that kind of song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the whole avalanche of that kind of song, Sparrow. That's Chain Wheel, Papa Jack, and all them songs there by Sparrow.
Yeah, that man.
Yeah, tremendous. Yeah.
Something else.
Back to, and my mind now run back on people like Zandali. Would make you fall, is would make you ball, is would to make you get up.
Yep. Yeah. Would make you drop.
Here it is. A man talking about stick fighting, huh?
Yeah.
But we as a society will always find the little nuances in between.
Yeah.
Find the double meaning. You find the, sometimes, and as Lady Adana mentioned earlier, you might be singing a song straight, and somebody hear one line or one mention or something. So from the time we hear wood, iron, cat in a song, who was it? Somebody had a line in a Calypso that where you don't like animals, so beat them with the cat.
That was Caruso, beat them with the cat. No, he didn't. That was the Bajan song, the murderer song.
Yeah.
Beat them with the cat. All who say don't done with that.
Yeah, when the police hold them and they arrest them and they drill them. Beat them with the cat. Put them in the square. Everybody be there. Remember that?
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Right.
The
So
damn really cat when they done with that.
I remember being on radio and we taken, and one night I decided, you know what, let me be idle. And I pull out only songs that referred to cat and pussy that night. That night I just play, so it may be Pussy Quarreling by Sparrow.
By Blakey, by
Holy Pussy.
Holy
Pussy by Blakey, yeah.
Funny enough, Blakey sing Holy Pussy and the Porters talk about grab them by the right. And again,
Holy Pussy.
how the talk has changed. But gentlemen, ladies, this is how we talk in Kaiso. There's so much to talk, and I think in itself, tonight has spoken for itself. We see the craft, and I think we have reached the stage. So I think every night, if I have to pull out just one word from the different topics, tonight's word will be craft. Right? We establish and recognize that Calypso is an art.
That's true, definitely.
And that we need to, and who knows, maybe that's why Shorty named that song The Art of Lovemaking.
It is an art, eh?
You know?
It is an art.
Is there any other music in the world that do what we do?
No.
Country western.
Not to the extent that we sing about everything.
Maybe not to the, but country western, I mean, if I have to give, or just from my little experience or knowledge or listening and reading, country western is the next closest music that them just sing about. Remember the same way too.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I respect that.
But we are also in our art form. We are also chronicles. You know, we chronicle everything that happened at a certain period of time.
We do.
We could sing on the princess and the cameraman, to the princess who get married, to the prince who get married the other day, to Megan.
Right.
You know, we sing about wars. We sing about famines.
We come out of protest too, eh?
Yeah,
protest. Yeah.
We stay up Zimbabwe. You know, we all over the world. You know, we sing about Mandela. Country and Western don't do that. So we way ahead of country and Western when it comes to the variety.
They will more sing on like personal experience
and experiences, which we also do.
Well, yeah. So we also cover that. You're correct.
We also cover.
We went, and to me, that's the part of Calypso started fade away. Like we don't have that personal. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
For this, I mean, see, when last year you had Heartbreak Calypso.
You don't have that.
You see, the competition has done that to us. The competition has removed that element of it, because the average fella, you know, to go to the savannah or to be in the competition, he had to be a Kamla or Rowley, and that, and depending on what
you had to sing a social commentary, a political or a nation building.
That kind of thing, right? Whereas before that, the entertainment value from the artist himself, it is for the audience.
Exactly. Exactly.
You understand? So that's what different right now.
Yeah, man. When a man said to sit down to write a song for this season, he wants to go and win money. He wants to be in Savannah. So for in order for him to be in Savannah, he have to sing a song that the judges
mind. He writing the judges in mind, not the audience.
The judges in mind, not the audience. You know, he's not writing to make the audience laugh and smile and think.
Because as a matter of fact, one of the things that happened in Kaiso at that time is when you get an anchor, and I see that as a little fella by Sparrow 10, between Sparrow and Blakey singing Holy Pussy, and an anchor will come off the stage, cross the road, Rising will touch the wall, and come back, and then you take your anchor, or go by the bar, get a drink while they're calling for you. If you understand what I'm saying, the entertainment value was so strong. That's what it was. But no, we didn't have that so much. It's more writing for the judges now to get in the competition.
I hear a man walk to the fire station and come back for Yanko.
I didn't see that one. I see the one touching the wall. Cross the road, Rising Road.
I hear they used to touch the almond tree outside the gate.
Touch the wall on the next side of the road and then come back.
Cross the wall, cross the road.
Yeah, cross the road, touch the wall, and then come back. Walk by the bar, take a drink, and they call in, and then you walk back on stage. That value, entertainment and thing, is no longer with us.
Nah.
It has matinee shows too. 2 shows in one night, 2 shows in one day, which shows like performance like Stella and the Manu Benjamin trial. There was theater in the tent in itself that people was gravitated towards entertainment value again.
Right.
With Nelson and them no longer happening right now. We want to write a song, justice in mind, and what's your grammar? You see your grammar, you have to be how you call it academically correct in terms of your proverbs and your nouns and all that kind of thing. Taking away from my guys. You can say right or wrong.
You're right.
No, the thing is,
you're more than correct.
Do we have a space, and this is maybe one of the further, there will be future discussion, when I say before the month is done, but I will ask it here, seeing that as we flow in. Do we have a space for both to exist?
Both to exist is what?
So that who want to compete or who in Calypso only for competition should just, all right, or they compete. But then there should be the element for those who just out to entertain. You know, one of the experience I never forget is watching the Calypsonian in Classic Rousseau tent, Hamidullah, the Calypsonian stockings.
Yeah.
You see stockings?
Yeah.
Stockings would never make a Skinner Park.
No.
Stockings will never make, but Stockings is a Calypsonian.
Yeah.
You have to see perform.
That's right. That's right. But you know, I want to tell you something again too. It has certain people who would have been in the cast, would have never seen beyond the door to Skinner Park, but they getting picked before me and you because the management understand the entertainment value they bring to the program. You know that? I feel like this one he used to sing he could never sing in time. You understand? He won with the music next week. That was entertainment. You had Fluke again would have been in time. You understand that kind of it? But he man on stage, the way he look and everything. These are values that are lost in the entertainment situation. Yeah.
Some years ago, I played playing pan in a tent. I played in Crocro tent, Icons. Steve Seeley, I'd accompany Steve Seeley. And it had this fella named Tempo.
Yeah. Yeah, Tempo boy. I act by yourself. You want to see here again too?
Yeah, Tempo was a fella had a song. I wonder if I had a song, boy. Something called Bull.
Yes.
And again, that too. But Tempo singing a song about bull.
Yeah.
He sing and he get married and he want a bull.
No, that's Patty Dory.
Again, he built a nice story. He built up his story. Yeah. But Tempo, and his performance had nothing to do with the song. Tempo come on stage, and because he maybe was a fit or flexible fella,
yes.
Tempo raise his foot higher than his head.
He get uncle because he for good happy there.
Yeah. Tempo coming on stage with energy, right? And these are and when you really start to assess it, maybe part of the problem is that it's not that the entertainment not there, you know. It's just that the entertainers, well, of course, don't make it to the finals and semi-finals, so we don't get to see them. Right. So we don't get to hear about them.
As a matter of fact, Marcus, It's losing right now. You see about auditions? Audition was the place you would have go, and to my mind, here's somebody better calypso than better performance. You hear what I'm telling you? Because when them guys come to take the audition, people like Magic and even Merchant and person, then you're going to school, you know. You listen how they break their song, how they handle themselves, all this kind of thing. You aren't getting that right now. The thing has evolved to the extent that right now, like I call my manager or talk to the tent man and I inside and you will see me when I'm time for the opening night.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah.
So these are some of the elements, but hopefully by discussions like this, and as we the most I could do is always wish that more people could be part of this. So, but it's something that I will personally keep doing, so that and I mean with your support. Well, Witty is your first time inside. Hamidullah, you started falling. Marsha.
I thank Marsha. Marsha is my manager. I thank very much, Marsha.
You're very welcome, Hamidullah. I said I'm a Belmonten.
No, but on a more serious note, Marcus, you're doing a tremendous job, brother. I want to commend you for that because this discussion is very, very important for we to understand and appreciate how the art form is evolving and where it's going. So thanks very much. Thank you, Dr. Witty. Nice seeing you, man.
Nice talking to you guys, man. You're welcome anytime. But the question is though, how do we bring back the audiences to Calypso? What we have to do to bring back the audiences to Calypso?
And by these discussions, hopefully by the end of the month, we could have a proper suggestion.
All right, we'll work on it.
Hopefully by the end of the month, as part of this Calypso History Month series, we could start to talk it. Now, the thing is, I don't think even that statement entirely correct. And here why I'll say it incorrect. We ain't lose Calypso, you know.
Can't lose Calypso.
We ain't lose Calypso. Or we ain't lose people in the Calypso. It's just that now the tent is no longer that gathering space. The tent, when you look at that, like for me, for example, when I look at old videos of the tent, I couldn't come them time I know my parents and them getting ready and they go in the Calypso tent. So I'm always aware of the tent. I think my first tent experience, I might have been about 13 or 14, accompanying my cousin to same Calypso review tent. I remember standing up next to kitchen and this tall man. Well, it's not that I know he was tall, but I was very short too at the time, you know, and I could remember seeing Calypsonians in the element backstage, and that was maybe the beginning for me to get involved in the Calypso. But how many children or how many young people getting that opportunity? I think even my parents did it in a nice way, that they might have tell me, sit down and write down the scores for the Calypso Monarch. So I find myself watching Calypso Monarch, waiting for them to call the score. Now, I think my parents did indirectly, as we digress, so many little things by giving me little things to do. Like long time when they used to call lottery on TV. Lottery used to draw what, a Saturday night?
Yeah.
And they call in all the numbers. All my parents, what I had to do is buy our papers the next morning, you know. But no, we had a notebook that them used to have us writing down. I just used to be writing down numbers. Until now, numbers is something very friendly to me. Mathematics was an easy subject for me. Somebody could call out maybe a 12 to 20 digit number and I will recall the number for you. Long time I used to play that in school with them fellas. Tell them, all right, I say, they call out numbers. I mean, maybe out of practice these days, I can't do it so sharp again. But
Marcus, I want to interrupt you there just to put inside the mix there. the whole question of we losing Calypso and that kind of thing. I want to take it back to the period when we didn't have no UNC Calypsonian and no PNN Calypsonian.
Right, and that's one of the things that
Yes, you see, because what happened, if you listen to Maestro during that period, songs like To Sew With Love and that kind of thing was a direct attack on Eric Williams. But the way you do it, Chuck Does, even Stalin, Run Something, and these kind of songs, Sparrow, Kitchener too, you would have find all the bars would have been taking the political position, but it would never been ostracized because of the politics. We experiencing that now. You understand? So whenever you sing a song now, like if glorifying Kamala, if you say she's royal, you're being deemed that you belongs to the yellow. And with that now, you have to watch what you're saying. And in the same way, if you go and you say Rowley is the best, then use a PNM. So what happening now? The audience now is being divided. So the song that could be a hit in Port of Spain is not a, when you pass Caroni Bridge. And that's what I'm telling you right now because of the politics.
True, well said. That is exactly what went on. So it's no longer a Trinidadian event.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. We have to work on bringing it back as a Trinbagonian form of expression. Because, and why I said that Calypso ended, the first thing when we get locked down with COVID, everybody started to do an extempo challenge. People, even if they had to write it down or not, but Calypso was the go-to. Everybody was inside it. Hammy, you didn't do an extempo challenge too?
No, I couldn't do extempo challenge because they blow my mind because my thing about extempo is singing off the cuff, singing on your legs. When I see people writing down the extempo, I say they're talking to me. I sing just so.
The extempo was the music, but the words.
the extempo was extempo music. I mean, you're robbing me already. I don't know if you're robbing the competition already. I know you're extempo. You're robbing me again too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as if you want the words just to flow from my head.
Yeah.
The 12 next time to bed.
Yeah.
I'm glad all you come in the lime. I must say we had a good time.
Like
simple thing, yes, we keep alive. We go lime and bus a 5. Really hard, but we must keep the music up to Trinidad.
I want to say thank you to Magella Simon, Marsha Clifton, and to you, Marcus. I can't forget Dr. Witty. It was a pleasure talking with you on my TV. But just before I go, I want to commend you for allowing the extempo. And I hope the next time you have a show like this, you won't forget to call Hamidullah in the mix. You see?
Hey, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Well, this was nice.
Gentlemen, ladies, all the thanks for being here. We have plenty to talk about. Thursday program, we discussing Calypso and the church.
But okay. Thursday, having a program. This Thursday coming here?
This Thursday.
Okay.
Let me go by the judges.
I pondered the discussion on the judges, and here what I will do, Hamidullah. As I said, I plan to keep this as an ongoing something.
All right.
I wouldn't discuss judges in the Calypso History Month.
All right. Okay.
Right? Let me take the history and
yeah.
We look at it, but you see, the judges is something that I could spend time on. Right. And the judges, it's so wide that we could maybe go on for a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Different segments.
Yeah, different segments, bring in different people. Right, so that I honestly plan to keep this going outside of the Calypso History Month. And I opted to discuss the judging of Calypso in that space outside. Right? But what I do have, and I could say it now, I do have an open night, maybe the last or the last program, where any topic. So if it is that we bring up the judging of Calypso, and once you have people in the forum, we could discuss anything.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate it.
So it's not to say that it limited, and I ain't want to talk about judging, but I will tell people, bring your score sheet and come. One part of the judging of Calypso, I will tell you, I'm saying this even as an adjudicator, or a previous or a past adjudicator. I want to see or hear people's comments from on your judging sheets. I want people to just come and talk about all the judges and this and that. I want to hear some of the comments. I could speak as a judge on things that I would have witnessed in the judge's box. And there are many reasons I don't judge again, right? You know? But I don't understand the acquiring of your score sheet is a big issue and thing now too.
Yeah, to pay for it.
I understand you have to pay for it and all that kind of thing. So you see, because of all those elements, you know, Calypso History Month, let me keep it maybe backward looking, but outside of that, we could do forward looking. You know, but get your score sheets, and I mean now technology, and if it in fact they were talking about it, they had no ink and all that kind of thing. Scan it and email it to me. Scan it and email it to me. It's easy like that now. But I think even that, as I will tell any Calypsonian, get your score sheets. Get your score sheets, and according to who you are over the years, you might have had my name on a score sheet. But I don't judge Calypso anymore, so I could talk and say what I want now. Right? But my thing is not to bash judges as well, because there are people who genuinely come out. Even when I can tell you, when I started judging, I started judging Calypso because I maybe just wanted to do all kind of thing. And one of these days I will jump on a stage and sing a Calypso in a tent, you know, just to say that I sing a Calypso in a tent. You know,
so you qualify as a judge.
I was a judge.
No, but when you sing Calypso, you qualify as a judge. When you sing Calypso, you qualify as a judge now. You see, because part of the problem with some of the people who judge Calypso is that they don't understand where the Calypso is coming from, you know. And I ain't here to bash them really. You understand?
You saying that the Calypsonians should be judged by their peers then?
Well, we would have hoped for that, but you know how the thing is, unfortunately, we can't allow that, we can't encourage that because of the bias that goes with us. So I am happy to have people external, for them our peers then, looking at what you're doing. But what to my mind is bothersome is people who deliberately interferes with you. Now, I don't mind you going wrong or no. Inadvertently you're going wrong. But when you deliberately go wrong, that's a problem. You see, that's another topic.
Right, I was saying, save that thought. And if within the Calypso History Month, I think in the open forum, we could talk that.
Yeah.
Who knows, I might be able to start with Mudada, the judges judging good.
Yeah.
So again, to everybody, even those who listening via YouTube, top of the night to you. And this is where I say in peace and love. Let's talk Calypso. That is our brand. Honestly, I get Jazzy and thing now saying let's talk.
So you come back, you see you have a brand?
I have a brand. You understand what I'm talking about? And that is despite I went and I say we can't be talking brand. And I can't be talking it and not doing it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And those are little elements, Hamidullah. How many? I know some Calypsonians might do it, but how many people really doing that as a, like, you know? And these are little elements I want us to start to look at, you know. A Calypsonian, all right, might print a jersey with the name of the song for the supporters and thing. But how many Calypsonian could wear a jersey out of the carnival season?
Yeah.
You know, I remember in Andy here, I see a man cussing Poser. I think for how he park or some kind of thing. A man cussing, level cuss against Poser. And I tell the man, I say, oh, go get the man a break. I say, I have to get on so, and I watch Poser. I say, but them boy, I say Poser, but what? I said, you telling me that man don't know that use Poser, boy? And that is same man who will go and sing Smoke Awati, you know, and dance to it, you know. But you cussing Poser. And when I see that, I tell myself, part of the thing is that Calypso people know the Calypsonian too. So if the people know the Calypsonian, how they could like or they could know Calypso? Food for thought with you.
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up on that.
All right.
How to make the Calypsonians popular again.
Social media. We have to use what. So you all have a good night.
Yes, my brother.
Peace and love.
Okay, thank you guys. Good night, all.
Simon, thanks for coming.
I'll see you Thursday. I try to be on Thursday.
All right, cool.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
All right, Marsha, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Peace and love.